Yep, and we are live
We are live.
with nothing to
Uh,
say, but something will come up.
something will come up along the way.
Yep,
Let me get this because this they have better audio.
but I can hear you
It's,
clearly.
you can hear me clearly, eh?
Yeah,
Sometimes the audio dips on this other one.
okay.
Remember when I used to do, but maybe I don't know if it's a Zoom thing.
Yeah,
It might be a Zoom thing because um, it used
I
to
normally
dip.
also, I
Like for
also
some
have
reason,
problems. I also have problems with Zoom. Zoom on my end likes
uh
to cut out. I don't know why.
yeah, I think it's a Zoom problem because I never experienced that problem of dip in voice when I'm using things like Microsoft Teams. I've never tested with the StreamYard,
Hmm.
but just to be on the safe side, I guess yeah. Let's have a
Nice,
good.
nice. Hey, so it's another free flowing Saturday, man. We're here.
Mhm.
Hmm.
We're here, bro.
Hmm.
How's your week been?
Usual stuff. Running around here, trying to
Hmm.
make things work.
Yeah,
In Kenya, it's always an uphill situation, but
yeah,
it's good. It's we normally say if the journey is too easy, it becomes boring. So maybe we'll have a story to tell some time back. It's all good. You saw the clip I sent you about those guys who had to actually fight escape elephants to get meat
yes. That was Namibia,
in Namibia, man. Like
and
they
you know,
normally say, good thing,
mm,
easy times make weak men. So imagine a situation
yeah,
whereby for you to get meat, you have to go into a bush. And remember, before they bumped into those elephants, they had walked for 4 hours.
man.
4 hours.
I,
They
I
started walking at 6.
yeah.
Mm.
I feel with with technology and how good it has done made life become.
Mm.
It's so easy. Everything has become because you have an entire process completely abstracted. So you don't endure that struggle, that pain that goes towards bringing that food on the table, um, producing a piece of product. So I think what we have now is we have to create a sense of pain in our lives. Um, we have to recreate those moments, the moments of hunting. I was looking at this guy called Rich Cooper, the guy who authored the book, The Unplugged Alpha, and you're
Yeah,
sharing images
I
of
follow
him.
him.
You follow him, so you saw his
Mm.
recent images. I think is in US. He's a Canadian, and he had gone
Bald headed
hunting.
guy with beards, yeah?
Yes. So he had these images of him. He had gone hunting in Texas. So, and I guess this is why these Wazungus are so, they like guns because they have got those, so they call the hunting season. So they go. And so he was once hunting, driving through with a terrestrial vehicle, and then with also him, shooting from the skies. They took a helicopter and they were, flying around those wild fields. So, and I guess that's part of the process of instilling that
Mm.
discipline of pain and uh, you know what do they call it, delayed gratification, because now to sort of experience dopamine, it's so easy, it's very easy.
Our
So
lone wolf
that's
has joined us as usual. Please shout a big shout out
oh
to our ever present lone
man,
wolf audience, Sharif Mustafa. Ever
Sharif
present.
Mustafa.
Mm.
Sharif, you need to join us
He's like
if you're
oxygen. He's everywhere. We
is
never miss him.
if you're free, you can jump on the stream and say hi to us. We want to see you. You said you're based where? Is it Ohio? I'm sending you a link. If at all you're in a position to join, it would be good to have you. He's actually a Briton. Oh,
He's
I
a
didn't know,
Briton.
but
He doesn't
I
even
didn't
have a
know.
British accent. British accent is very outstanding,
Very distinct. But I
distinct.
guess, yeah, I guess
Oh, he grew
if
up in
he
Canada. He
grew
grew
up
up
in
in Canada.
Canada,
Oh,
he has the same accent as Columbus,
America.
Ohio, USA.
Mm.
Yeah, so that's I think the only thing I do here which involves pain apart from work would be what doing the hikes. I was to prepare for the marathon this month for this year. We actually have in they call it the Kigali Peace. Is it Rwanda Peace or Kigali Peace Marathon, which happens every year in June. I'll try and see if I'll be able to do at least 10 kms. It's about 30 days or so away. So those are some of the things that I do: hiking, going to doing camping, trying to stay away from the luxuries of life, and they are fun actually. It's still very fun um, thing to experience. I
For
don't know
me,
about you.
the only thing I can say that really stresses me physically is maybe the workouts I do in the house.
Mm,
That is the only thing that I can say can really. And what makes me realize that it's a bit hard is that those moments before I do the hard work, I have to debate with myself. Do I really need this? Do I really? You really have to ask yourself over because it's crazy. You have no gym mate, and it's beautiful when you have no one to work out with you. You're not relying on someone.
yes,
You're relying, and the days
yes.
that many
It's
days
only
there are days there are days I miss out. Then in the evening I'm like, oh man, now look at you now. All
I
this stuff
agree.
you've eaten. So where are you going to take this energy from? You are working from a desk, from a chair. You are doing work online. You're not chasing. You're not chasing stuff. You're just there. So what are you going to do? So it really feels bad to miss out. But it's a very crazy. Well, maybe I'll share it with you. There's a guy called Bully Juice. He's an
Mm.
American guy. He does those. It's a 30 minutes routine. When I
Oh,
finish,
share it. Yeah. I haven't
it's
been doing any of those myself. Even the walk, I used to do some regular walks in the evening.
how many kilometers?
I think roughly we used to do, because we used to do it with another neighbor friend of mine here, but he has since gone to Uganda.
Hmm.
I think in total it would come to about 4 to 6 kms. So it would be to and fro. So it would
I
be a
used to do
distance of
9.
about, you used to
It's
do
only
9,
that
eh?
the only work I've been doing some work here that is sort of weighing me down. But I
Mhm.
used to do 9 kilometers Monday to Friday.
Man, and those are
Hmm.
5 days, bro.
Uh,
If you're doing
I
that thing
think I need
consistently.
to sort of rework my schedule because I used to
Yes,
start at 6:30 and be done by 9 kilometers in 2 hours. And I used to
yes,
think I'm
that's true.
slow. I used to think I'm slow because the average will be 4.5 kilometers. Then I realized I'm doing 4.5 kilometers per hour on average. That means there are some places I'm walking faster because I normally run my timer the moment I start going through I'm in top floor. So once I lock my door, I start the timer stairs. That means there are places where I cross the road. There's a place where I cross a railway line. There's a place where I'll stop. Okay, I'll move slowly because there are slow people ahead of me. Then I end up with an average of 4.5 kilometers per hour. That means there are places I'm even going at 6 because it's
No, no, 2 hours
4.5.
for about 9 kilometers. Because even here, weekends I used to do some of those long ones.
Mm,
Typically, I would be doing like up to 10 to 12, and it
mm,
would take us round about that same time, 2 hour
yeah.
mark.
Mm.
And then here, they've got those hilly points. So those points are good to exert you,
Yeah,
to
exacting,
push you.
exacting. Then you get to know how
So
many calories your calorie consumption.
correct, correct.
So
I need to
very
get
good.
back to it. And it's not a question of, sometimes we say it's a work, but I think once you set
No
a schedule and
noise,
follow it,
noise in the head. That is mental
it's
noise.
just exactly that's what it is.
Because at the end of the day, if you say work is blocking you, uh, what have you invented? Just something you
100%.
invented.
What's the output? What's the
Uh,
output? And I know,
if
as
you,
you say, there are people that just sit behind a laptop,
mm,
and that is seen as work, or sit behind a laptop and they are responding to email. In this day and age, people pushing emails back and forth
it's seen
see
as
that
work,
as work.
counts at work.
And it's not. It's
Well, you
literally
see,
not. You haven't produced
it tells
anything.
you, it tells actually tells a lot about the, I don't know how to put it. Sometimes you can't really blame someone. It's kind of the system you are in or the organization you are working
Yeah,
for.
yeah, yeah.
So in this part of the world, we do not have a lot of organizations that create anything or anything that is of
Yes.
real value in terms of. Have we ever invented it? No, you don't even need to invent in Kenya. You just need to industrialize or improve. Whatever systems we have adopted or adapted, have we really improved anything in-house?
And I think if you look at the corporate lifestyle now, or
Mm.
corporate sort of environment, that's where you realize, very little is produced. You see, when people are told to stay at home, how many jobs did we realize are definitely non-essential?
Well, for one, let's start with Elon Musk. When he came to Twitter, 80% of the lot got fired.
Got all fired. And these are
80%.
guys, can you imagine? So these were
Eight.
dead weights that were in that company, complete dead weights. The
When you look
company
at
has
even look
never,
at our so-called factories, you'll find the
yes,
administration block is full of people. Full.
exactly.
You wonder what these people
And
are
they are the
doing?
ones who are, and they are the ones who are being paid the big bucks, while the
Yes.
guys down on the floor doing the
Oh
real
man,
work are being treated like trash.
I've been
And
there,
those are
my
the
friend.
very, that's sort of the core of that
We
business.
normally
You get
say
rid of those
uh,
people,
we,
you get rid
we
of
have
that work,
the
that company is
in,
dead.
in manufacturing we have the factory. Then we have what we normally call them headquarters. We normally say
Mm.
headquarters is where all the
Oh yeah,
politics
yeah.
comes from.
People who have
Mm.
no connection to what
Yes,
it
it is
takes to
from
produce what
headquarters
they
is
do.
where the crap flows from. From the floor, people are busy sweating and slogging it out. So the, you see, desk work is appreciated if you are designing something,
Yeah.
you are improving something,
Yes.
or Lutu family, karibu sana. Lutu family is here. Uh, oh yes, together like diabs, without S55, S550. So um, desk work, either you are designing or you are improving a design, you are coming up with a better code, or you are drawing up a meaningful proposal to something. And you
Hmm.
can't be doing proposals every day, you know that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
either design,
Yeah.
improvement, or doing you are doing some major thing or there's some code, maybe there's a software that is not running properly. You are coming up with a code to sort of make things. Now that is useful desktop. But this one, oh, find attached in reference to a previous mail. What note? Yes,
Exactly.
sir.
And
I don't know.
the
Find
other day I was
attached.
looking at the way we respond to email. It's such a standardized script that we all. It's so deep. Everyone
Kindly
follows that
regards.
same script.
What
Kind
do they
regards.
like?
See attached.
See
Find
attached.
as
Is it?
mentioned above.
Hmm. Hmm.
The the lingo and the terminology is all the same. You can go from one company to the other. Once you've mastered
Mm.
that, you will prevail.
I
But
was
yeah,
thinking of,
zero.
in fact, I was trying to look at a situation whereby instead of emails, you can just send voice notes.
Yeah,
They just send it.
yeah.
Yeah, you send a mail, you open a mail,
Actually,
then you take your mail, you say what you want to say. It's a voice
you
note.
record.
But done.
I bet
Send.
they're if it's not already on Outlook, I bet they are going to introduce that feature.
Yeah, I think
People have
I'll write
become
to
also
them. Let's have,
lazy with.
because the amount of time you spend in reading the lingo as regards, maybe we should look at in comparison to. And then,
Not even. Have you realized now? Actually, they have added that low-level AI capability in email. If you look at your Gmail, your
mm,
Outlook, when you're
mm,
writing, because these scripts are so prevalent and standardized across the board, the
mm.
computer can predict what you say.
Yeah,
Now it's even telling
it
me,
has been there
yeah,
for quite a while. It's called telesensing or something. I
exactly.
forget it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Those
So
prompts
it
have been there.
knows,
Kind
it
of,
actually
it will
knows
tell you,
ah,
yeah.
is
So
the usual
it
crap. Oh, ah.
it auto suggests what you need to write. So if you're okay with
Hmm.
it, you just hit the tab key and it will fill it up for you. So
And a
because
typical day, you start by you find like eight or nine mails, and you are saying, okay, these are nine mails. There's nothing to do with the design, nothing to do with the improvement. It's just some gibberish that you can just put a voice note, or somebody, I think he just got uh, bored and came up with some weird stuff. Oh, I don't know. We've noticed that maybe you are using too much paper. Why are you writing to me about like?
admin guys trying to find work, so they start becoming so petty now. They're you now get emails saying, okay, now we'll no longer be serving two teas at 10 or 4. It will only be one tea. Particularly now when there's all these austerity measures that everyone is implementing,
And
and
the
they
one,
cut down the very basic stuff. Instead of, probably, if they want to see substantial change, is cut down on some of the dead
no, if you
weights
have
that
to,
you
if
have
you
in
want
your
to, no
organization.
problem. That means number one, CEO should start riding in a Toyota Fielder, not a Range
Exactly.
Rover. That will know. Hey, hapa kuna mabadiliko bwana. But the
Yes.
usual stuff, I don't know. You'll be doing double printing on pages and
Yes.
whatnot. And how often do we print? How often do we print?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's so we are not spending a lot of time in design work. It's that's why it's really killing us as a country. The
I don't know
average
if you
Kenyan
saw this.
workplace. Mm,
Let me share with you. There's a very interesting chart
mm,
that Vusi Tembekwayo shared, trying
mm,
to compare
mm,
the the big economies in Africa
mm,
against metropolitan cities in the
mm,
US. And actually, George commented and said, because the biggest economy, which is Nigeria,
mm.
their GDP is equivalent to that of Boston,
And
a
they are the
city.
ones making noise in the
This is a
spaces.
city, not even the state. This
Mm.
is a city. Kenya was equivalent to Las Vegas. So just the entire Kenya is equivalent to a city in. Let me try and pull it up. Where was it? A city in the US. Actually, the way Vusi had commented was our economies against a state. But that's not the
Mm,
state. That was just a simple metropolitan
mm.
city in the US. So George commented, said Boston has a population of about 600 and something. Let me get it. Let me get it. Yeah, so this is the one. Let me share my screen. it's all about productivity, and I think there's very little of it that we have in the modern. So, so this was how big is South African economy? If South Africa was a U.S. state, which
Mm.
would it be comparable to? Again, Nigeria. So, but I corrected him and said actually this is again it's been compared to a city, not an
A
entire
state.
state. 'Cause some of the states in the US are actually equivalent to some of the European countries' economies. So you'd hear like Netherlands would fit in to what I don't know, or fit into a small state somewhere Midwest, Mid East or
So
something.
the whole of Nigeria is like Boston City.
It's like in terms of what the GDP is,
Mm.
it's actually less. So because Boston is about 531 billion. Nigeria is about 506 billion. South Africa is equivalent to Atlanta. Miami is equivalent to, or rather, Egypt is equivalent to Miami, and Kenya is equivalent to Las Vegas.
No wonder we like gambling.
Yes.
Mm.
But I mean, it's not just the gambling, but the output of what they generate money wise. What would that equate to? So we are
But
about 108.
this is purely our fault.
Yeah.
This is pure. I was reading somewhere. Um,
Hmm.
in 2021,
Hmm.
we imported wheat worth $486 million.
100 and
$86 million.
mm, wow.
So why are we not able to produce enough wheat?
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we have
Hmm.
all the resources.
All these things you are
This
seeing here,
is
this is a fault of our own. We have no one to
it
blame.
is. It is.
Yeah.
It is. 100%.
You do
Hundred
you know about
percent.
that? Do you know about that clay nanotechnology?
Yes.
It's that whereby certain nanoparticles of clay suspension are
Hmm.
sprayed on sand, and
Hmm.
it makes sand to be for agriculture.
Oh,
Yeah, it's called clay nanotechnology. I don't know if I can share it here
probably
with
this
you.
is yeah. This could be the same technologies the Arabs are using.
Yeah, they are using it.
Ah.
It's
I
called
mean, how can
clay.
an entire country, which is a desert, I'm sure if we were to swap with UAE, and UAE would even tell us, okay, we'll leave you Dubai, everything, Abu Dhabi, just the way it is. You guys take it
We
and
will
give
destroy
us
everything.
Kenya, give us Kenya just the way it is.
So
Somebody
that
should
is
run
the
that experiment.
nanotechnology.
I bet you.
So
Uh-huh.
they spray that liquid over the sand, and it becomes
Oh,
viable. So there's a place called Nyiri Desert. Nyiri Desert is around, I think, let me
yes,
see, Nyiri Desert.
it's the
Nyiri
second
Desert.
link.
How 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 big is it? Nyiri Desert area.
Yeah, let me actually now share this other one.
That is the best place. It's actually, man, this place is huge.
Let me share this one for nano clay. They call it
Nano
nano
clay.
clay.
Yes, nano clay.
Uh, I mean, we have all the resources. Nothing is. Man, that's brilliant.
What is preventing us from doing that?
I think, man, I don't know if we are truly cast or what has happened to us. We are not really utilizing
Mm,
the resources God has given us, more so our brains.
mm.
Because, the other day I was actually struck. I met a gentleman, he's a British dude, a white guy. Um, he was, I met him actually first last year. Um, then he relocated back to the UK. But sometime early on Wednesday, we caught up again because now his work requires him to travel across Rwanda, um, Uganda, DRC, and Ethiopia. He's actually consulting because his work is in mining. So just imagine this. If you think of mineral resources in the UK, there are none. But somebody went to school and trained to learn about mining. But his objective was not to find resources within his country. For him, it was anywhere else in the world, and more so in Africa. So the guy is actually employed in one company, but he was telling me he's getting consulted by other organizations. That's why he has to travel to places like Ethiopia, because those are not within his scope. His scope is primarily Rwanda and Morocco. But yeah, he now gets opportunities to work in Uganda, in Ethiopia, in DRC. How comes our people here, are not trained to take advantage of the resources that are beneath our, our grounds? Huh? Huh?
Why should we do that? And yet
It's,
we can hustle for tenders.
if you are to walk around Nairobi with all those, downtown Nairobi is like a big university campus.
Mm.
But all they are teaching you is business administration, all these nonsensical courses that you could sit in for an hour on YouTube and learn everything. They are not
Procurement
teaching you.
studies. What is the
Procurement,
curriculum for procurement studies? What do they learn
if
there?
Kenya is prospecting oil in the northern
Mm.
part of the country, would it not be prudent for us to start training engineers, people who can do rigging, or drill oil rigs? Um, those will be the courses of the future. But all we are doing is taking photos on graduation for some nonsensical courses or degree programs that we've spent 4 years toiling for, and then later on cry about unemployment, while the real work is right there. That's why you find these muzungus are coming all the way to take up those roles, because we have none. You can't source that from the local Kenyan.
Even in matters of oil or petroleum, one of the biggest headaches is cooking gas.
Mhm.
Now, I tell you, 2023 Nairobi population is at 5,325,160.
God,
5,000,165 million. Now, that's a beautiful
that's
thing.
is.
5 million people.
Mhm.
How much methane gas can you draw from the sewage emitted or produced by 5 million people? You will
Mhm.
actually solve the cooking gas issue to finality.
Yes.
Yeah? Because this cooking gas it comes by ship. They don't know where they get it from, but it's most likely it's coming from the earth, right?
Yes.
Then it has to be purified. You have to pay for the purification. You have to pay for the extraction. You have to pay for shipping it. Then you have to the offloading cost and the duties associated with it. Then you have then moving it by bulk to the filling areas. But if you have a very elaborate sewage system that is tailor-made to collect sewage from those 5 million people in Nairobi and
Mm.
convert it into cooking gas, have you not solved a very huge problem?
Actually, right there, that's what they are now calling circular economy. So
Yeah.
we'll be
And
producing the
those things are
material.
there. They're called sewage to gas plants.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
we produce the waste that then can be converted into
Mm,
gas, which we then
mm.
purchase and
Yeah.
utilize for
Yeah.
our heating and
Yeah.
cooking and any
And the raw
other
material is free.
utility. It's free. We are the ones producing it, and
Yeah.
probably we have lots of it. Those five
Yeah.
million people, and that's during
Mm,
at night. There are,
mm,
I guess, a million more that pass through Nairobi every day. So you're
yeah.
talking of six
Mm,
million, a population of about 6 million people that
yeah.
are in Nairobi
Mm.
producing that waste for us.
So it's a very big motivation.
Eh,
The gas manufacturing entities should be working hand in hand with the sewage system to ensure that the sewage system is in top condition. That because that is the free channel for the raw material.
is there an example of somewhere where it is now being used, like on a large scale, like a city scale? Do you know of
What I
any place?
know, the one that I know is landfill gas plant. You know those landfills. That is the biggest one I know is in somewhere. Sometime ago it was in the US, whereby the garbage is packed in a landfill. Then the gas that comes out is purified. Now, what they've done in that state, because rather than sell gas to people, they've bought what we call garbage collection trucks that run on methane. So you say the
Mm.
garbage collects itself. So the garbage collection system has no fuel budget.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It even, I think it powers some of their commuter buses.
Yes. So it is
Yeah.
or then there are others. They have built what you call those. Okay, yes, there are engines which are fitted in the trucks. Then there are engines very huge which are converted into generators to generate electricity. And I remember in 2009 or 2008, I took such a project to the Mombasa Municipal Council. That was before the issue of counties came. I went to Mombasa Municipal. No, I went to NEMA office in
Mm.
Mombasa. They told the project looks good, but who are you going to take it? Because these are authority-based projects. It has to work through a government somewhere.
Mhm.
And the kind of people we have in power. Now a place like Dandora dump site could be gold. So if we
Yeah.
have that one there, and then we have they are called sewage to gas plants. This issue of cooking gas will be buying cooking gas that's three. We will be refilling cooking gas at 300 shillings, even 200.
Oh, they were talking of the 500 one, which was the sourcing it from the gas from it's from the sea, from from Tanzania.
But why? But we have the garbage. We have the sewage. Why don't we use it?
Mm.
Huh? We have the garbage. We have it. So now with the one of the sewage to gas, already that is employment for people. Apart
Yes.
from the employment, we have also the expertise. We are now home growing our own expertise. So
Yeah.
what is really preventing us from? Why should we uh, go into the business of importing uh, gases and what cooking gas when you have so much biological material within this country?
I mean, it boggles my mind that
Mm,
while we have everything,
mm,
I don't
mm,
think there's anything we lack.
mm,
Yet we are the laziest motherfuckers out there.
mm,
We are not utilizing our resources. The only thing we know how to do is go to God in prayer, while God has endowed us with everything that we need, the brains,
mm,
the
mm,
land, the mineral resources. It's just us who don't know how to utilize. I mean, this is a good example. The article I'm sharing is of the data centers apparently
mm,
in some of the Scandinavian countries. The heat they produce,
mm.
they are able to pump it into people's homes to, to warm up. And we know the
Yeah,
Scandinavian
the
countries are
heat from the servers.
from the servers, yes, from the
Yeah.
because they have a lot of data centers that
Mm,
they have put out
mm,
there. I think there were some from Google and whatever. So that heat that is produced by those servers
mm.
is pumped into is I don't know how they transport it, but it's able to be pumped into people's homes to
That
to
is
to provide
that would use they
heat.
would use as that would be mostly by use of heat exchangers and lagged delivery systems.
Mm. So how
Mm.
does that work? I don't know. Can you explain that?
You see, you must have a heating medium most likely, and
Hmm.
so the servers are very number one. There's proximity of the servers. Chances are the servers have been placed whereby they are as close as possible to the homes, and then the pipes used to deliver they have to be lagged of some sorts, lagging, and also heat concentration. You have to
Mm.
concentrate heat somewhere, then you pump it by lagging. And I think the data centers have to be very many. So they're all about optimization.
No, it's an entire pack.
Yeah.
It's an entire pack. These are when
So
we
the
talk
fact
of the
that it is
cloud,
they are packed, in fact,
that's the cloud.
the fact that they are packed together, that's the
Yeah,
concentration bit.
yeah.
Now that we've
These are
concentrated
places
it,
like the size of football stadiums. You know that,
exactly.
even
That's
bigger.
where the
Yeah.
concentration comes in. When you
Mm.
start pumping
Yeah.
it out using a lagged system, and you're told
Yes.
Ruto government will tax everyone for taking a shit. Well,
That is
Kinyesi
that
tax.
is if we have to utilize now that for producing gas using human
Kinyesi tax.
waste.
Mm,
Kinyesi tax.
mm. So the resources are there.
I
The
mean, the
resources
idea
are
would be to incentivize people to sell this, sell their
now.
shit to
Apart
the
from
government.
that,
So instead of
uh,
taxing them, they get incentivized for whoever
and then
produces more
when
shit.
it comes to sewage, now even before
Mm.
you get to collecting the sewage, there are things called sewage turbines. These are turbines that are placed in sewage pipes. Those ones, the Dutch already have them. So when you are flushing and the stuff collects somewhere, when it's heading towards the sewage treatment plant, it passes through a turbine.
Ah, so it
That's it.
produces power.
Yeah. Then there was something I was trying to work out with someone. Unfortunately, uh, he was someone who had that ability, but the the attitude was completely off. We were trying to create what we call uh, buildings, we have very many tall buildings. And now it's raining a lot in Nairobi. So if we were to
Mm.
put small turbines in the down pipe, you know that pipe that takes water from the top to it drains water
Yes.
from the rooftop. Yeah, we put turbines among the in
Yes.
the down pipes in nearly every building in Nairobi. Something as
Mhm.
tall as KICC.
Mhm.
Imagine how much power you'll draw from there. You put the turbine, yeah, centrifugal turbines, yeah. You put them there and then you connect them to lithium batteries. So things like lighting in the corridors, security lights, is taken care of. I mean, we are sitting on a gold mine. Recently, Sweden was looking for a place to import rubbish because their landfill gas plants were running low. You know, they really use so much of the garbage.
So we could
So, and you are
actually
sitting.
sell our waste to them.
Yeah, so I don't know how come a place like Dandora is still Dandora dump site. We are sitting on a
A
dump site.
gold mine.
And
Mm.
they wanted to buy. They were shopping
That's
for
funny.
garbage. Imagine. Yeah, they were shopping for it, and we don't need to sell that one. That we should use for our own energy requirements. Yeah. So it's very very unfortunate that we should not even be called a third world country. We should be called a shooting yourself in the ass kind of country.
Shooting yourself in the ass country.
Nairobi
Yeah,
can
man.
sustain itself. Nairobi can sustain itself. There's this concept. I don't know if I can find it on the net. It's called. Let me go it. Nairobi is fruits on towers. These are
I think
called.
some
There
of
are
these
these things.
European countries, if they were told to swap with Africa, man, they'll gladly take it up. And
Very
they can even
quickly.
take it up as it is now.
Yes, Asuma, give it
As
as it
is.
is. Hmm,
Give it as is. Yes.
hmm.
Sight unseen. They can even say sight unseen. You guys,
Yes.
let's swap. Our
Hmm.
climate is the best. Our weather
Yes.
near perfect.
Hmm,
We've got minerals and resources uncountable
hmm,
that we've just scratched the surface. I mean, every day we realize Uganda has got oil deposits, Kenya has oil deposits. All along, we didn't know. And probably lots more are there. It's just that we
hmm,
have not explored. And even with where we are running short, as you're saying now, I mean, you've heard of this idea, nothing is impossible. And truly, nothing is impossible if you put your mind to it. And now we're just talking of solution after solution after solution after solution, which is
I've
right
sent
there
you.
with us.
I've sent you an image of what I'm talking about. These are
Mhm.
actually food towers where when you don't plant when going horizontal, you are planting while going vertical,
Vertically. Mm.
vertically. So that is ideal for urban areas because the biggest headache of food in urban areas is
Mm.
transporting that food from very far.
Mm.
Things like tomatoes, potatoes, veggies, whatnot. These you can sort them out locally. Now, having something like this at city center, cheap.
And even with our country, almost half of Kenya is uninhabited. So it's not a
Mm,
question of we lack space. If we were
mm,
talking of places like Singapore that that,
mm,
that are limited in space,
mm,
then this comes in handy. For us,
mm.
we've got land everywhere. I was actually listening to a clip by Museveni, and he was saying it's just recently that Africa, which is 12 times the size of India, has now surpassed India in population. Just think about it. A country that we are, if you were to look at the entire Africa landmass, is 12 times the size of India. So you can fit 12 Indians within Africa.
And you have
And
surpassed India
before
in
our
population.
population, they had surpassed us in population. They had literally surpassed us in population. So just imagine that size, and so there's still room. Africa should probably be twice its population. We should be like at 2 billion or 3 billion population size. There is
Let's
room
just like
to host that number of people.
and then we look at the northern parts of the country. Those are very ideal for those what you call solar thermal power plants.
Exactly.
Solar thermal power plant will solve. It is just this issue of power. It will be a gone case. Now, uh,
Totally gone case.
it used to
Even
be 5 units per 100. Now it's 3.8 units. So what has made the power to go up? As in the system is working against us for some reason. I don't understand.
geothermal, we haven't also fully utilized it. So let's say if we were to, take even increase it by maybe 30, 40% of our current utilization, that if we had lower power costs, we could be able to attract a lot of industrial businesses to come and establish their factories here.
And then the issue of the way they are crying over the US dollar and whatnot. Why don't we simply, whatever is being imported, why don't we just assemble? Don't even bother with full manufacture, step one. The moment you start assembling, you are steps ahead. You are steps ahead. When you start to assemble, it becomes cheaper. Your reliance on
Exactly.
the dollar takes a dip. When you start using
Exactly.
hybrids and electrics, where reliance on the petrodollar goes down. As I said
Goes
before,
down.
hybrid vehicles will consume 30% less.
Yeah.
Electrical vehicles
I
zero.
mean, and not even the petrodollar that we're importing more. Almost
Mm.
everything that we consume, we're importing. So
Yes.
our imports are higher than our exports. But if we are able to produce and consume locally,
Mm. The shilling
then
will
the
go stronger
reliance,
because
or yes,
on
the demand for the dollar will be much, much less.
the demand now will be on the shilling now because we need it more.
Exactly.
Because we are building it
Exactly.
locally, so it is being sold by the shilling, so we need the shilling more. I think we are
The
going to a
solution.
point where soon we'll be buying things using the dollar locally now.
At this rate, it will be. I mean,
We
you've
are
seen
going
what
there
has
very,
happened
very quick.
in places like Zim.
Mm,
When their currency has become so valueless that
mm.
it doesn't make sense to operate with it. So they use dollars. I think they also use South African rand, and there are a host of other African countries that are like that. Mhm.
Well, that's what we call our happiness.
Excuse me.
It's very it's very it gives you a sign of defeat. You really feel defeated when you are surrounded by everything and you can't do nothing. And when you listen to some of these policies up there, like, hey man, what is the policy of energy production, low cost energy production, policy on food production, policy on manufacturing, policy on industrialization?
Exactly.
It is
I mean,
it
you're not
is
hearing any of these ideas by the government officials. None. We are still looking at trying to solve the problem using the same set of tools that we had instead of now thinking out of the box.
very, very
So now
unfortunate. So
the government
things
had to
like
come up with like the government to government mechanism that they use, to where they're saying now they'll be able to exchange shillings for oil.
mm,
And I don't know how long that will last. I mean, yes, you could comment, you could say it's a good solution, but it's still a stopgap measure. What's the long term solution? How can we think
what
long
if
term?
we say okay, they are okay, we don't import oil, we import petroleum product, diesel, petrol, whatnot.
Yes,
So
fully refined. Yeah.
fully refined.
Mm.
So you are importing diesel in shillings, correct? What if
Mhm.
we say that thing that I keep on singing about? Why don't we create a situation whereby we are using less diesel?
Yeah,
If we have a
that's another.
let's say we have a mass hybridization of all our diesel vehicles.
Mm.
You have these NITA, NYS, they set up their systems, you bring in your vehicle for a certain
Yeah.
fee, it is converted into a hybrid. And it's like a mass. You see the zeal with which they did Huduma card. Is it Huduma
Yes.
card or not card? What's the name of that thing?
Yeah, yeah. I think they're calling it. What was it? And what have we seen? We never got. I mean, just imagine all the resources that went towards that.
The zeal with which they
That was
do the
a.
Huduma
That
card.
was a.
They do,
Oh
we
my
say
goodness.
any any heavy and medium-sized commercial vehicle, bring it to a center at a certain fee. Within hours, we convert it into hybrid. We can bring in our people from China to assist in, ensuring that everything goes well. I tell you,
Yeah.
within a month, you'll notice because a hybrid there's a 30% drop in consumption. Within 3 months, a quarter of a year, you'll notice 30% drop in diesel consumption.
Yes.
The trickle down effect will be fantastic. Then you start putting some legislature and some incentive.
Yeah.
Companies, for manufacturing entities,
There's some
which
tax
have
base. Yeah.
50% of their vehicles being electric, they get some kind of a tax relief.
Mm.
Within 1 year, the effect will be felt. Then
Yeah.
somebody is saying is negotiating to sell fuel for a shilling. Okay, it sounds very nice, but what will they do with those shillings? Is there
Yeah.
anywhere the Kenya shilling does anything outside the walls outside these boundaries?
If anything, maybe probably where it would work is regionally, with Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda, all
We
these
want
other
to buy
countries. But beyond that, I don't
diesel
who will.
in Saudi Arabia. From is it from Saudi Arabia or where? Where is that diesel coming from?
Yeah,
Middle East.
one of those
Uh,
Gulf countries.
you are
Yes,
buying it in shillings. What are they doing in those shillings?
I wonder. I think the way they marketed it, probably they didn't talk of. There must be some middle um, brokerage of sorts that does that conversion, because I don't see them taking shillings. For them, it's worthless. I mean, what does that mean?
It's like saying
Uh,
someone coming from Zambia to sell you. You are in Rwanda, then he wants to sell him something in Zimbabwe money.
exactly.
Maybe like, what am I doing
I,
with this
I, it,
money?
it would even make sense if we are talking about using their own currency. I don't know what they call it. Um,
Dirhams or whatever they do.
Dirhams, one of those. It
Mm,
would have been best for them now to say, instead of
mm,
us buying in dollars, we'll
mm,
buy in dirhams, because they are the ones supplying us. So they
mm.
would probably set
Or
the
maybe they
conditions
say,
using
or
their
we
own
make this, or
currency. Mm,
we make this thing regional. Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, Rwanda. We come up
yes,
with we look at our consumption, then we buy bulk as a unit and get a discount.
exactly. I mean, I never even
Huh.
thought of that, but that's actually a very
Yeah.
brilliant idea. I
Yeah,
mean, that
Kenya,
would be
Uganda,
probably the
Tanzania, Rwanda, everyone puts this. These are our volumes, our annual
exactly.
volume
Yeah.
of petroleum products, petrol, diesel. Whether it is now you go even deep, whether it is the boiler fuel for the industry. This is our volume. Each one tables
Yes.
the volume, come up with a bulk figure. Then we say we are
Yes.
buying this bulk. We get a discount and we split it.
Yeah. They all put their money through the ESC, so
Huh?
ESC becomes the buyer.
Yeah,
The East Africa community
the
becomes the
community
buyer,
becomes
and
the
that
buyer,
way
so you
then
get
it
a
just
discount.
becomes a case of
Hmm.
us distributing. I mean, this is how
Distributing.
the region probably can work more effectively, because
But
then they are
mm,
bringing in the leverage of the volumes they are placing
mm,
in,
mm. So once they, in fact,
and
that will
that's
be
guaranteed.
it will, because
It's
the
not
volume that Kenya consumes on its own, then compare the volume that it is consumed by Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda. Is that on its own that volume is very small compared to that total. That means the purchase price will be remarkably low. The discount
correct.
will be fantastic. It's like I'm buying five, let's say 5 units. You are buying six. Mustafa Sharif is
Yes.
buying 9, Lute family 7. My units 5 compared to the total is very small. So the discount deal will be fantastic.
Hmm.
It will be an excellent thing. And that dip in price will just be noticeable. This is the things that we should be talking about. But when you tell me that you are going to buy a foreign based product in shillings, some of us went to school and we know that the Kenya shilling outside Tanzania and Kenya, you might as well use it for toilet tissue. Actually, it's the most useless entity you could ever lay your
Yeah,
hands on. Huh? Yeah, it's
you
worthless.
know, I, I wonder if I think our problem as countries is we've not taken full responsibility of ourselves as a country. So we still think of as ourselves as because we become so dependent from the West, the West helping us and supporting us that we've never understood what it means to stand by our own and to determine our own future. That's
But you
why
see,
we are not old enough to carve out our own solution and take charge and follow through on those. So,
but,
and you always hear of this term called benchmarking, and mostly it's looking to the West to see what they have done because we look to them as the gold standard of everything.
but then again, the question I ask myself is the people who are sitting on the top tiers of management of this country, how are they thinking? I used to think that the people at the top are the ones who are the best thinkers. I don't know how, and in fact, it's very reflective on some of our organizations here in Kenya. The management has some very dumb people
Mm. I mean,
because when
if you think, if you look at the likes of Ruto, I mean, these are extremely smart people.
yeah,
These are
the
smart,
credentials are
smart
there.
people.
The credentials are there. He's a man of
Yes,
science. He has a PhD. I don't know in something. Mm. And when he articulates
but
issue, it doesn't seem dumb. He looks like he has a very,
oh my
very
goodness, yes.
sharp. Yeah. So is it the people surrounding? Because when when you are at the top, my thing is that I normally say when you are at the top, your thinking should be top. If you are CEO of a corporation and I bump into you on the corridor and we talk for a few seconds, I should just know that this is a CEO for real. But if you are CEO and
Yeah,
I'm talking to you, I'm like, ah, hii ni shemeji ya director, what is he doing here? So the
many
people
of
at the
them,
top, how are they thinking, to be sincere? Hmm?
many of them, I think, go in there
Hmm.
one with the mindset they are going to enrich themselves.
Hmm.
So they are very short-sighted.
Hmm.
Nothing long term is in their minds. So they're just looking at, hey man, where am I going to steal? Where am I going to enrich myself? So the greed, the lack of foresight and long term thinking. Um, what else? It's a mindset of a lack mentality because we've been told, of course, these resources are finite. So I'm only here for the next 5 to 10 years. So let me watch it to cool as much. It's our time to eat. That's what they always say. So that greed, that short-sightedness, that lack mentality, these are the things that hold us back. And then lack of taking full responsibility. Always know that I'll be able to fall back to IMF, World Bank, China, and not
Because
realizing this is your future. This is you for you and your generations, several generations afterwards. But we don't have that kind of mindset.
you can't talk of future because they probably have land abroad, so their future is secured somewhere in Monaco. You
Exactly.
can't you
Monaco and
can't
other tax havens. And all
just
they
the
will do
islands.
is exactly all they will do is brag that I bought a suit
Mm.
from London or Paris or Italy. I holiday with my family in Miami in all these
But
places.
then again, are they not a reflection of who we are?
They are
Huh?
100%. They are.
Whenever during campaign period, who asks people what is your game plan for
Mm,
lowering cost of energy? You can tell a candidate, listen, we have no control of fuel prices. What is your game plan concerning that?
mm,
What is your game plan concerning optimization of our surface area to make us highly food secure?
mm,
Some of these countries abroad that you never hear people dying out, some of these countries are really small.
mm.
Some of these countries, Japan is a chain of islands. Hmm.
Man. And what
When
those
people were
guys
dying, when
produce.
people were dying of hunger some time back, who was
Mm,
put on question? Who was held accountable? You know,
mm,
for you to die of hunger, you need to stay 5 days without, I think 5 days without food.
mm.
Day six, you are gone. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, you have no food. Who is accountable
Yes.
for that? What happens? Where are the questions? There are no questions being asked. These things like clean nanotechnology is, you mean there's some, then the entire government, the most powerful body in this republic, has never had such a discussion.
Mm.
Yeah, government is the most powerful body in the country, right?
Yes.
And if you're most powerful, that means you should be having the sharpest people there.
Mm.
What do you discuss? What is the typical, if you are to look for, you can stumble on minutes of a typical government meeting. What will those minutes read like?
It's a sad state of affairs that we are in, and I don't know what would change for us to make that switch, make that leap
No, but I don't think
change.
there's no need to. Then again, as we discuss these things, um, don't need to boil your head so much. Look at it as an individual.
Yes,
You get a chance
yes,
to do something, do it in such a way that
yes,
people start wondering, is this guy from another country?
yeah.
If you
I
go
think
there,
that's actually the
uh, be
yeah. Go
just
ahead.
create your own brand. The Andrew Mutua system, it works like this. And prepare to work alone. Chances are you'll be alone for a very, very long time.
Yeah, yeah.
If you adapt the activist mentality, you just be another activist. A lot of noise, but nothing happens.
Actually, what I realized is sometimes when we are championing for sort of the communal kind of an approach, in many ways, it's us reflecting our own inadequacies.
Mm.
But when you're sort of individualistic in your approach, one is understanding one, this thing is beyond you. There are several variables that are you can't control. The only way
You
you
see,
can be able, at the very least, to influence change is through yourself.
when you
And
talk of
then, you know, release everything. Now it's beyond you. You probably maybe be able to gather other like-minded people once you have established yourself on that path, and then
if you
the
have to look at
like-minded
like
people will come to you.
when you hear the word high performance, then I
Mm,
place for you a Ferrari and a General Electric locomotive. Where will you high performance? Where will you lean towards?
the Ferrari.
Yeah, the Ferrari runs on its own. A locomotive has to pull a lot of wagons.
Mm,
Now, in our activist case, when the trains are being prepared, they have to ensure, each wagon has its own brakes. They have to
mm,
release the brakes. Now, we have been
mm.
trying to pull wagons, and some wagons, the brakes are locked.
That's true.
Hey,
That's
when I was
true.
growing up, there used to be a train passing outside my house. There are
Mm.
days when, due to I think negligence, somebody will forget to unlock the brakes from a particular
Yes.
wagon. Or the train is
Uh,
moving in the one set. There's a that particular wagon. The wheels are
it's
locked and
dragging you back.
it's scratching the rails. You'll end up in that
Yeah.
situation. Now you are revving your head, and there's somebody saying, you know, that normal said, anajifanya mjuaji. Eh? Hii
Yes. It's
ujuaji
like you have
nampeleka wapi?
somebody. It's
Eh.
like having someone who's pulling you backwards as you try
Mm.
to move.
Run
So
like a
just
Ferrari.
imagine the energy that it takes to pull him along and carry him. Already there's already the weight of all those 10 or so wagons that you have to pull. But
Mm.
then you have another one pulling you in the
Mm.
opposite direction. So just imagine how much more
Run,
energy you have to
yeah,
expend.
run like a Ferrari or a jet fighter. No, a jet fighter, the maximum it may carry is maybe another person, the bomber, two people. But jet fighters go in
Yeah.
squadrons, so you have to keep
Mm.
up. Yeah. But when you have a huge airliner having 500 people, only two people are flying it. That's why you find, a fight has broken up in an aeroplane, passengers are fighting over all. But in a jet fighter, you are alone.
You're
You are
alone.
doing what you can to keep up with the rest of the squadron.
Mm.
So you have to have the mentality of either a jet fighter or a high performance car. You are running on the clock. As Toto Wolff, the principal of Mercedes F1, says, the clock determines how fast you go.
Mm.
So if you go around tagging people, you want to be high performance. Yes, you'll be using a lot of energy, yes, but when it comes to performance, you don't care how much you use. Are you performing?
Are you performing? Yeah.
Yes. You'd rather be
This
that lone jet fighter, then
lone
others
wolf.
can come join your squadron, rather than this very high revving locomotive pulling so much stuff heading nowhere. So as much as we may rev and rant here, you identify something, do it your come up with your own methods. And as much you may want to share things with people, be careful who you share some things with. There are individuals are very good at, as I call it, mental infection, where they this cannot work, but and they come out with data and facts. I don't know from where to prove to you that it doesn't work.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
that's
sometimes I really try avoiding sharing some of my stuff. There are people who are professional arguers,
mm.
professional idea shooters. They will come up with a very it's not even sound like nonsense. It sounds so factual. This one was tried this year, they failed, blah blah blah. This one, the economic value is not so good. The rate at which the shilling is losing against, then you look like, hey man, yeah, yeah, this won't work. Yeah. Mm, it won't work. And there's no harm in trying. So apart from our inherent puniness, we have that crab effect. I'm not doing something, you should not do it. And I'll make sure I
exactly.
convince you not to do it.
And it's
Hmm?
part of that lack mentality because
Mm,
we come
mm,
into this world thinking
mm.
they're limited resources. It's like it's not that mentality of there's enough to go around for
There's
everyone and the
actually
more.
there's actually enough. We are actually swimming in resources. Like I think that like what I talked to you about the Dandora dump site.
Exactly. We could monetize that shit.
In fact,
Literally monetize the shit.
apart from exporting it, that I used to have dimensions for those
uh,
those where you dump the garbage is called a well. I
uh-huh.
forgot, but at some certain dimension, that well will provide gas for 20 years.
Mm.
20 years.
20 years to
20.
a population of how many? For what?
I'll,
Nairobi
I'll, I'll get
population?
I'll get that I'll get that. I used to have that document back in 2008. The dimensions
Mm.
were there. This quantity will produce this quantity of gas for 8 years. Now, no, 20 years. Those 20 years we are collecting garbage somewhere else.
I mean, I think there's enough. Just go to Mombasa,
Hmm.
one of our other cities that is needs to be cleaned up. There is a lot
Mm.
of garbage around.
And that is gold.
And once we realize how useful it is, we'll
Mm.
probably even be better at collecting it and then processing it to
Mm.
produce gas or whatever other resource that we can. If we
Mm.
have lots
Mm.
of it, we
Mm.
can even export to the likes of, you said, it's Sweden that is short of
Mm.
waste.
I think 3 to 4 years they had run out of garbage because they are optimizing everything.
Exactly. For them, there's
Our
nothing that
our
is waste.
friends in
It's an
Holland,
it's a full loop.
Holland, what they are doing, their their windmill system is built for their electric trains.
Oh, really? Yeah. Okay.
The electric train
Yeah, I see
system
those
is
big.
yes, it's
It's all
meant for the
run by
electric.
that.
Yes, is dedicated for that.
Man.
We
Man.
began
Okay.
saying we
I
have
think
nothing to say.
let's and here we are, 12 minutes past the hour. So
Mm.
there's never a shortage of stuff to talk. I even think I like this better when we don't even pre-plan it. We just let it flow. We started talking about productivity. Now we've gone into
Energy.
how Africa is not utilizing the resources that it has in
Mm.
abundance. It's a lot. It's enough for our own internal consumption and more for years to come. All we need is to utilize our brains effectively. Okay, bro. I think let's call it a night.
Let's
Man, that was
give
a
a shout
nice
out
one.
to our audience, Sharif Mustafa and Lute family. Thank you very much for joining in this
We salute you,
meaningless
brothers.
ramble where we come here without planning to say anything and we say something.
And we
So,
say
guys,
something.
thank you very much.
Yes.
And we can say adios.
Adios. See you guys.